Hey, I'm Sam from Barn2, and this video is your complete guide to the WooCommerce Product Options plugin. Whether you've just purchased a plugin or you've had it for a while but you're curious to learn more about it, this video could be your go-to guide. WooCommerce Product Options is one of our most popular plugins because of how easy it makes the process of creating customizable products. Everything from color swatches to image buttons, price formulas, and a dozen other option types are available, which I'll be sure to show you in more detail as we go through this tutorial. I'll begin with installation and setup, but feel free to jump ahead to any section of the video using the timestamps available on YouTube. As a premium plugin, you need to purchase it first from our website in order to be able to use it on your own site. You can find it with the first link below in the description, and as with all our plugins, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. After purchasing the WooCommerce Product Options plugin, you'll get an email with the zip file and a product key for activation. You can also download the plugin from your account page on our website in the download section. In the WordPress admin, go to Plugins, Add New Plugin, and upload the plugin zip file that you just downloaded. Click Install and then Activate. This will launch the setup wizard where you can activate your license key. If you don't see this, just go to the plugin settings page where you can then paste your license key and activate, in which case you can skip the setup wizard altogether. WooCommerce Product Options essentially replaces the need for product variations within WooCommerce. Instead of creating attributes, which then multiply into countless variations, the plugin lets you create option groups, which contain individual options. Take, for example, this personalized birthday cake product. Within WooCommerce, this is actually just a simple product, but with our plugin, you can see there are many ways to customize it before ordering. For example, we have the flavor option, which is a drop-down selection, similar to how WooCommerce displays variations on its products. But then we have the color swatches, where we can choose different colors and see the color at the same time. We also have these image buttons, which have descriptions which pop up like this, and they allow customers to choose and preview a different option. Then they can also add text if they want, and there's a surcharge per character. So, for example, if you write "Happy Birthday, Sam," this will be reflected in the final charge. And you can upload a custom photo as well and add a rush charge for an extra 20%, bringing the total to $42. So now let's go back to the plugin settings on our site and create a new options group like the one we see here. To find this page at any time, navigate to Products and click on Product Options. And then on the first tab here, you can find all of your existing option groups. I already have quite a few here, as you can see, but if you don't have any, then just click this big Add Group button at the top. You can also choose to edit any existing group when you hover over the name like this. So first, give the group a name and choose if you want to display that name or not. If it's the same name as the product, then I would leave this box unchecked. Then choose the products or categories that you want to apply it to. You could display it globally on all products, but in most cases, you're going to choose a specific category or a specific product in particular. In our case, the personalized birthday cake product. Now, as you can see here, I already made a bunch of test products that I can apply my options groups to. If you don't have any products or you just have your normal products, I suggest making a test product that you can then add these options group to and learn how to use the plugin. Note that you can also choose to exclude certain products, assuming that you chose to display globally on all products. This could be a useful feature for just excluding a few different products. Now scroll down and use the Add Option button to start creating new options for this product. So let's quickly review what kind of options we need to add to replicate this product. I'll scroll down here. So the first one is titled Flavor, and we have a drop-down selection with 3 different options: chocolate, sponge, and lemon. And the second one is Color Swatches. with the name icing color. So let's go and create those now. Okay, so first we had the flavor option, and recall that that was a drop-down select. We choose that out of the different types available. And now we'll scroll down to the choices. So in our case, we had 3 different choices, which I can add by writing in the label and clicking this plus button to add new. Now, typically within choices, even with all of these different option types, you can add a price or an additional price, like a surcharge, to this particular option. So if chocolate costs us more to make, we can add an additional fee, for example, $2 to the final price. Or we could add a percentage or quantity fee, depending on what our scenario is. And note that you can reorder them at any time by just dragging and dropping like this. Now, a description may be necessary if it's not totally obvious what this option is for, or what the customer should do when making a decision. So try to be as clear as possible to avoid any confusion. And to finish off this option, check the required box. So customers must choose a flavor for their cake before completing the order. Then save your changes. Next up in this options group is to create color swatches for the icing. So let's add a new option with this button here and name it icing color. And we'll choose to display this as well. Note that this displays the option name, which clarifies what the customer is selecting in this option. Now, if I scroll down, I'll look for color swatches as the option type. And then in the choices, we can actually come down here and create a label, which is the name of the color. So we could say blue, for example. And then we actually click on here and we can choose the hex code, or we can just drag this color selector until we find the color that we're looking for. I'm just going to use some basic example colors, but obviously if you had a real product, you would have some real colors to go with it. Again, we can write a description, although this one is pretty self-explanatory. And there's an additional option for display, where we can display the color swatches only, so people will only see this, or we can display labels and color swatches together, so they'll see blue, pink, and white next to the colors. I think I prefer this option here, as it just clarifies things. And then we can also make it required if we want to. Click on Save Changes. Now let's quickly preview our product with these new options applied. So let's go back and refresh this product. And now we can see our new options that we've added. So we have flavor with a drop-down selection. And we have icing color with 3 different options where we can see the text label and the color itself. And once we choose an option in both categories, we can click Add to Cart. Now that we're getting the hang of things, I'd like to show you on the back end how these other options were created for this birthday cake product, rather than building them all from scratch, which just takes too long. So back here in the options group for the demo product I showed you earlier, we can see there are 4 more option types, and I just want to quickly show you how they look. So the shape is an image button, and for this we uploaded 4 different images. And in this case, there is a percentage increase for some of those because they're more complicated for our bakery to make. And we've also pre-selected the circle option as their main option. People can choose any other one that they like, but the circle comes pre-selected. And we have an option to update the main product image when a choice is selected. This is a great way to help people visualize and preview what they'll be buying. And again, we can display a label which hovers over the image button as well, which can add some clarity. There are options for how we display this label. We want to have a full overlay on hover, and we can make this required, so people must choose a shape for their cake. There's also an advanced setting here, which is a restriction of choosing only a maximum of 1, because the image buttons, they work a lot like the checkboxes in which you could normally choose multiple, but we want it to act more like radio buttons. So in this case, we've limited the selection to a single option. Now I'll show you the text option. So text can be done as a text input. There's also a paragraph input, and there's a number input, which I'll talk about later. So these are different types of fields which can allow a customer to write something in, which will add that variation into their product. In this case, we've given the label of text and we're pricing based on character count, and we're adding 50 cents per character. And we have a character limit in the advanced settings of 25. That way we don't get these long paragraphs that we have to print onto the cake. Now let's look at the photo upload. So the photo upload can actually be any file, but in this case, we're specifying it's for photos, but file uploads will work for many different file types. So again, we give it a label. We have a flat fee of $10 for this additional item and a description. Now in the advanced settings, there's a couple of things to note here. We've set a maximum file size of 5 megabytes and a maximum number of files as just one. So there's only one upload. And we've set the allowed file types to different image varieties like PNG and JPEG. But you can see in the dropdown, there are many more that can be chosen from for different types of files. And finally, let's look at this rush charge, which is just a simple checkbox with only one option. And it's set as an optional. So we do not need to require this, as it's an optional percentage increase of 20%. So it'll add 20% to the whole order rather than just adding $5 or $10 at a fixed rate. So that was a basic overview of how to create new options. But now let's dig into the more complex option types and advanced settings. Now I've gone to a different product options group to demonstrate the formulas. So you may have noticed that there is a number input, which I mentioned a moment ago, and the price formula option type as well. And we can use both of these together to create dynamic pricing formulas that will automatically update when a customer inputs their desired amount of the product. So take, for example, these made-to-measure curtains. So they're priced at $50 per square meter. And they require the customer to add both a width in centimeters and a length in centimeters in order to have a complete price for their order. So if we add a width of 100 and a length of, say, 200, then we've created an order which is 2 square meters, and thus the total price is $100. So how does that look on the back end? Well, first of all, we have just 3 different option types here. We have a width, which is a number input, a length, which is also a number input, and finally we have a formula. And this formula looks something like this. So we're taking into account the previously added width and length number inputs. We're doing a little bit of conversion of units from centimeters to meters. And then we're multiplying it by the product price, which is per square meter. And that will give us our final price. And underneath the formula, note that the option to ignore the main product price has been selected in this case. This prevents the default price for the product from being added to the price, which is outputted by this formula. So rather than getting the formula price plus the original price, you just get the formula price. Now I'll just clarify that for the width and length, there is one advanced setting that you definitely need, which is a whole number. And you may also want to put in a limit. For example, if you cannot manufacture something that is larger than 3 meters wide, you should put a limit there of 300. And of course, this is also required so that a number must be entered in order for the price formula to work. Price formulas can actually be used for a lot of other different functions, such as bulk item discounts, seasonal pricing, pricing by variation, and a whole lot more. There's a great series of articles in our knowledge base dedicated to custom price formulas. So click the link below in the description to read more about it. So now let's quickly touch on the remaining option types that we haven't learned about yet. For this, I created a new options group to show off what they can do. Here's a look on the front end at what these different options types are for. So text labels look like this. They're basically just like checkboxes, but you can actually read what's in the label. This is stylized text I wrote in the visual editor. So visual editor, it's just like the WordPress editor where you can stylize text, make it bold, larger, change the font, anything like that. And you can also add other things like images. The date field looks like this. So we can select a date, for example, here in the future, although you can also have an option to select past dates, and you can select the time as well. So for example, on September 18th at 1 p.m. This is the products option type, where it actually takes real products from your other places in your store that you choose, and these can be added to the cart as well as part of the ordering process. So this is great for doing upsells, like for example, selling a computer monitor when you're selling a computer. And the customer defined price can be used to create something like a service tip or a donation. And this is something where the customer just enters the number themselves, and that adds, in this case, like $20 to the total amount. Having a quick look at the back end, we can see that the text labels just look like this, very simple. The visual editor is chosen down here with the static content. And this is what it looks like when I choose, for example, heading 3. But I could also choose heading 1 or anything else and modify all of these different elements. I can even add images with this button here. The date field, it's a little bit more complex, but we just follow all the steps one by one to fill it out. Now this monitor is the products type, and here I've actually selected 3 different products. So if I click on this add button and I want to add a new product, I can search for it here and I can add that product like this, and I can also reorder the products using this option here, or get rid of it with this button. And the final option type of customer defined price is very simple. You just add a label, a description is probably necessary, and I wouldn't bother checking the required option. Now, there's also this HTML option where you can add static content. So if you know how to write code in HTML, then go for it. One of the great features that this plugin has is the ability to hide certain product options until other choices are made by customers, which will then reveal these options. This is called Conditional Logic, and it can be used to create a more dynamic and professional flow for customers to work through when purchasing products. So to give you an example of how this looks, here we have a business card product, but depending on the type of design that's selected by the customer, then this whole design area will update. So if I use a pre-built template, it'll ask for all of these things. But if I upload my own design, it'll ask for this upload design option. Let's see how that looks on the back end. So this is the product and how it looks. You can see there are a lot of different fields, but most of them are pretty easy to understand. For example, text input for the address, email, phone. So nothing too complicated here. But for any of these, if I click on them and I scroll right down, you can see that there are these advanced settings. So you just click this drop down to reveal them. And all of these where the design elements is dependent on what option was chosen up here. For example, use pre-built template or upload my own design. Then we have this conditional logic here. So this item will only show if all of the following matches. The type of design equals use pre-built template. And the 2 options here are defined by this previous option, which is type of design. And this is a radio button option with just 2. So with conditional logic, you can choose to show or hide something if all or any of these conditions are met. And you can choose the condition, which is from your entire list of different option types. So in this case, type of design. You can compare to something else. It equals or does not equal. And you can choose the value. So in this case, it's just any choice. but you could also say only for this choice or only for the second choice. As you can imagine, you can use this in a lot of clever ways, and I encourage you to play around with it when you get a chance. But for this video, that's really all I wanted to show you today. Once you've created all of your awesome new option groups, you can actually export them as a JSON file and then share them or use them on other sites that have this plugin. When you open your new site, just use the import feature and select the file that you saved. As you might expect, I couldn't possibly cover every single use case that this plugin has to offer. So please check the links below in the description to our knowledge base and YouTube videos, which explain in more detail some of the advanced features that this plugin has. If you need any additional help with WooCommerce Product Options, our support staff here at Barn2 are amazing and they're always ready to help you. Just click the link below in the description or visit the support center on our website. With all these new options available, you might be interested in displaying your products in a table layout. To learn how to set that up, watch this video next. And of course, thanks for watching.